I have actually got some news. Go Live have acquired MIB data.
It'd have been silly for us not to do this transaction because it adds so much value into our clients.
Data is just the vessel, but it's how you use it.
It's not about short-term gratification, it's about long-term generation.
It's a great fit.
No.
Okay, so this is a bit of a different episode because although I said I had some news, I have actually got some news, which is...
Big news.
Big news, Adam. Which is, after 16 weeks...
It's been a while.
Since we met actually, it was longer than that.
Met at the Belfry.
We met at the Belfry, not for golf.
Not for golf. Had a good lunch.
We had a good lunch. But Go Live have acquired and taken over MIB data. It's official. That's it, Michael. This is the news.
Pretty cool.
And Adam, CEO of Go Live, is here to discuss. And we were saying, weren't we, which is when these sort of things happen, rarely do you see the two people discuss it. People, is that the right word?
People, previous owners,
whatever it is.
Noobs.
Discuss it in detail. So I thought, what a compelling chat this would be.
Oh, 100%. If you think about the data industry being all cloak and mirrors over the years, the fact we've done this transaction and can sit in a room together and talk about it, that's unusual. It doesn't happen.
It doesn't. And there's not been loads of... Well, we were talking about a couple of transactions that have happened previously, which fair play to those guys. But
Paul, Patrick, you know who you are.
Yeah, Paul and Patrick. Kudos would be an understatement. But I said, I'm going to start this off by... We were on the phone last night, and you said about, I know why MIB is called MIB.
And I was wrong.
And you were wrong. Now, I think Michael knows this story, potentially. I know Vicky does. So, a bit of a backstory to MIB. So, it was actually Nick Boddington, who's normally on here, the old Dr. Nick now, sorry, should we call him, who founded MIB. I then met Nick probably a month after he'd created it. And I would just come back from travelling / being a rep abroad. Didn't know what I was doing. And we both sort of agreed, actually, should we just sort of do this together? Because I was in the call centre. Couldn't afford to pay me, but I'll give you some shares, and we just screw it. And 15 years later, here we are. But when Nick started MIB, he also had another venture, which was called Mummy on Board. Okay? Mummy on Board, or The Office, Nick could only afford one telephone line. So when he answered the phone, it was, and MIB was just doing a deal with Patrick upstairs. I'll just add a bit of data on the side while I get this off the ground. Yeah. I'll just call it MIB data. And that's why MIB was MIB, not because of anything else. It was just purely because Nick couldn't afford more than one telephone line back in the day. Bear in mind, this was 16 years ago, a long, long time ago.
So that's cool.
And that's the story.
That's cool. That's a proper story.
That is a story, but I've then got something to caveat that with. So that was the genuine reason why it was called MIB data. Now, what else is MIB in the automotive space? Which is why we, a long time ago, we haven't had one for donkey's years, but we used to get confused with the Motor Insurance Bureau. So it was all, like I said to you last night, actually, there is a story behind it, which is mad because obviously we're not the Motor Insurance Bureau. We will get the odd person probably twice a year ring the office and go, oh, look, I've got my insurance. Vicky would probably tell me more in terms of the last one we had. But yeah, that was why we called MIB. No other reasons.
So that's cool. We're going to have to write that down.
There you go.
So that's getting published.
MIB, Mummy on Board.
Mummy on Board, because we could only afford one phone line. And look at what the business did.
Well, it's been 15 years. 15 years of fleet data. So when we started, obviously when Nick started, it was 2009 recession. Nick and I were just, like we've all done when we start business, just hammering the phones, cold call. Every automotive firm obviously had no bloody money, but we continued. 18 months later, we came out of it and we were creating actually back in the day, how we created the file. And I don't know if you knew this actually, which is we had a contract with Arval.
Yep.
Which was we would create fleet data because it wasn't readily available, and then we'll keep it. And that was the deal we had with Arval. And then we had different contracts over the years. So we had a lot of fuel cards through Mark and other people, and we've just the data's just been created over donkey's years of that, and that's how it all came about.
What made you go so obviously with Nick coming out of his previous place and wanted to go and do his own thing, what made him want to do Fleet?
Because he worked for Conduit in London. So he went from market location to Conduit in London.
Yeah.
Where his boss was Emma, actually, Saunders.
Okay.
They never updated their fleet data. Apparently they had a call centre in Glasgow or somewhere, and he was getting complaint after complaint after complaint, usual data world stuff. Then he went to, obviously they went bust. I think they went bust in the end. He then went to Data HQ, but was working there, I think 3 days a week or 4 days a week, and was commuting. But obviously from Leamington to Data HQ, which it's a bit of a hefty way.
It's a mission.
And he just hated it. So then he was doing a mummy on board, got a grant, I think, from the council or something, what it was. And then obviously because of his relationship with Patrick at ML, where he used to work prior to Conduit, he said, why don't you just sell a bit of data on the side? And that's how it all just came about.
Crazy. I love a good story like that.
Yeah, so that's how. And then obviously I met him, and then like I said, the sort of rest is history. But we know you, Adam. So I guess, tell us your story, because you've got a similar story in terms of data and ML.
Yeah, very similar. So to be honest with you, the data industry didn't really start at ML. I worked for a company called LBM Direct Marketing originally. So over in Altrincham, big call centre business. They had an offshoot which was data, and I started off as a lead generator. So I was finding leads for the sales guys, booking meetings, doing all that jazz. Progressed through that business quite quickly to become a business development manager. It's actually a quite amusing story. So market location had approached a number of staff in LBM for a recruiter at the same time. I'd literally been promoted the week before, and I'd had this recruiter on the phone. I actually wasn't that interested, is a truthful story. And Andy Curry, who's now a member of the Go Live data team, used to work opposite me, and he went, you really, really want to listen to what these guys are going to say? I went, all right, okay. Long story short, had the call, went and met with Paul and Patrick in Sutton Coldfield. My interview lasted 12 minutes. So I walked out and went, oh well, never mind, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Got home, got the job, which was like, oh, wow, amazing. So it was a bit of a life changer then. Market location was brilliant. So really good people, Paul, Patrick, really look after their guys. And we grew that business like no tomorrow. So to the point where, yes, there was a very nice exit for the two gentlemen, as you well know. Very, very nice exit. So did that for nigh on 10 years. Started off as a junior business development manager, became a business development director, started supporting the sales guys, built my own team. But I always had this itch that I wanted to scratch. I remember a conversation with Paul, he always went, this is what market location does. And then they had an email business, which was called eLocation. So this is what eLocation does, and this is what you're doing in the business, which is a little bit left field from everyone else. And I went, okay, that's cool.
But just to interject there, to people listening, and obviously Michael, you in the room, this guy was doing some numbers when he was at ML, because he niched down to a certain sector, and to say he did all right would be an understatement.
Yeah, I got lucky, James. Isn't that the narrative? I got lucky. But no, I think I got lucky, but you make your own luck as well. So this alternative finance sector was becoming alive. Actually, a funny story of what made my career is there was a company called United Capital, they're now called Capify, and they'd posted on LinkedIn that they were looking for data for direct mail programs. And they were only in Altrincham, and I live in Altrincham, so I was like, can I come and see you guys? And they were the first ones in the country doing alternative finance. So I'd kind of met them and having a good chat, and we talked about the direct mail, and we did some deals, it was all great. And then I saw the next company open up, which was a company called Merchant Cash Advance, which was a different type of finance company. And when I met them and did a deal with them, and they said, One Good for Business is opening, and so on and so forth. So before you knew it, I had about 15, 20 clients in this very rich new sector. And what I was able to do was adapt to the change in those sectors as the years went on, which was really good. So it started off with data supply, general normal stuff, direct mail. And by the end of it, we were doing integrated email marketing campaigns, we were doing data cleansing, we were supplying data. And off the back of it, yes, you were quite correct. We were doing some really big numbers, which was really cool. But as time goes on and you get older and you progress, etc., you're looking at what's next. And being fair, I'm a bit of a nerd. Not as much as Tim, who's my business partner, but I'm definitely a nerd. And I love technology. So I'd met Tim, who was owning a company called Candy at the time, which was also all about website tracking. And we talked about this way of building brand new businesses. So at Market Location, I'd seen about brand new businesses, we were incorporating less and less with a phone number. And actually their file was getting lower and lower in weekly volume. So I was like, oh yeah, we'll go and build our own brand new business file. We'll take all the new technology and we'll find it. And as we were doing it, it didn't exist. So when we sat down and we were trying to do it, we realised we could build a whole market file for the UK market. So we pivoted very quickly from wanting to be this brand new business into essentially a lookalike of what the original Market Location was, albeit in a technology focus rather than a manual, let's pick up the phone and make phone calls, even though we do a lot of that too. And then how's that journey gone? So we were very lucky in our early days. We won some big clients, which we probably had no right to do so, but they took a punt on the technology aspect, the story, the drive that we wanted to go on. 4.5 years later, we're a dominant player in the market. We're constantly trying to understand who we are. We think we're a communications agency who just so happen to own data and so on and so forth. And our remit has really been about, it's not about getting the biggest, broadest audience, it's getting into the right audience and then building programs to reach out to those organisations in the right way with the right communication. And it's really resonated in the market, and we've grown and grown and grown and grown. But as you do that, as you build your database, you realise there's certain holes in the data, and this is where the MIB piece came in, about actually to collect automotive data. You can't do it in an algorithmic process. You have to do it by the phone.
No, and we were speaking about this earlier, weren't we, around collecting fleet data. Although, yes, you can do certain models, actually to get bang on, reliable figures, it's a phone job, you know. And although, you know, we do some programs outside the UK in certain territories like Italy, Germany, France, you know, some of the states in the US, and it performs really well. But obviously we've got 15 years of looking at fleet data. So, you know, Vicky, head of data ops, who's obviously coming across with you guys, which I'm really looking forward to seeing how she gets on, which is actually some of those territories where, yes, there isn't readily available fleet data, is actually what can she do now with the, you know, the stuff you're doing, you know, with the technology side.
So exciting. And the great thing is about Go Live Data is we're adding a very rich data source and a very nice client base into already what is a very successful program. So those automotive customers you have now today should only benefit. And obviously going back to Vicky's fantastic, by the way, as you well know. Sorry about that. But obviously her coming across, it becomes less about data, albeit data is the most crucial part of it, and becomes more about the communication process, and that becomes really interesting. And also when you're looking at it from, I always forget, we're not just UK, we're USA, we're Australia, we're the Middle East, we do Canada, we do all multi-countries as well. So working with those global organisations to support them in different territories, I think some you can be better and some you can be worse, as in richer data sources versus less data sources. But we take a responsibility that a client comes to us, they give us their money, they give us all the stuff. We've got to go and do a good job. And therefore it'd be remiss when we sat down 16 weeks ago and we had the chat, it'd have been silly for us not to do this transaction because it adds so much value into our clients and what they're trying to do, but it also adds the value into that automotive space as well.
So here's the question then. Let's get to the nitty-gritty, the good stuff. So we met at the Belfry because we were discussing obviously fleet data, and obviously something MIB and I've never ever let anyone have access to is our fleet data as in a wholesale agreement. Never agreed to it ever. I've had so many people over the years go, can we have it? Just don't trust anyone.
Don't blame you.
No, just never trusted a soul. And obviously you've brought on Mark Robinson recently, who we've worked with for many, many years. He's Mr. Automotive, or the King of Automotive.
King of Automotive.
Yeah.
Absolutely the king.
Yeah, so obviously Mark's come on. And obviously us having, us then meeting was clearly to discuss the fleet data. But here's my question, Adam. Did you come going, I wonder if they'd have a little sniff at this?
Well, we came to have a chat about other bits, or at least that was the premise.
Yeah.
But I know we'd had various conversations before then, so we'd been speaking right from the day that Go Live Data had incorporated, if you remember, about what we're doing and what we're trying to do, and there was conversation along the way of replacing current data sources and whatever it will be. So I knew there was a chance you might be interested in selling, is the absolute truth. So obviously coming down and having a nice conversation, and by the end of it going, let's do something, was brilliant.
I thought that was the case. And I know because for us, obviously, well, for me, should I say, well, for all of us, which is, there's things that just make sense. And obviously, people that listen to this and, people on my LinkedIn and stuff, have seen, our progression over the last 5 years, which is, we've come away from, well, not gone away from data, because MIB is still a very profitable enterprise. Yeah. Then we set up Let's Run Social because of GDPR, really. So our old office in Leamington Leamington, just up the road here. I remember getting the first iteration of GDPR, and I went, we're up creek with no paddle here. And Nick and I sat on our board meeting, and we had an MIB logoed board moon table, like crystal glass, and went, we're fucked. Like, we are I don't even know what we're going to do here. And it was like, and this was obviously before the iterations of the company. It was the first one, and Nick had started running some ads with some friends using their gyms, the CrossFit box actually up the road with Kieran. And he said, you should look at this. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. We'll just try. And then obviously Let's Run Social was born. And obviously we've then gone in that direction of taking Nick out of MIB completely, working solely on Let's Run Social, bringing on different people like Mike and other people into the business. So it's been really sort of heavily leaned towards the social side. Yeah. And MIB, although it's still great, it's not had the love and the attention that it craves. And actually what it needed was a new sort of leader. I don't know if that's the right word, but someone just to really take control, because I love MIB. It's been I've been working on this for 15 years. We were talking earlier about some of the clients we've got, and we get so numb to it. We were mentioning earlier, which is, we get so many inbound leads now because we've been going for so bloody long. Everyone knows to contact MIB for fleet data. You get some huge brands just going, oh, can I jump on a call? People would give their left bollocks to get some of these businesses on a call. Yet you just become so numb to it. But because you're not in it day to day, you just sort of become, it's just not real anymore. So obviously when we were then discussing this transaction and going, although, people have said to me, oh, you're sad. Actually not. I've got Rupert now, which, I'm going on full time as of now, really, which will be announced a little bit more sooner. I know what you guys are doing from a technology space. I know the quality of our data. I know the quality of our clients. But what's really exciting for me is the clients that have trusted us over 15 years and they love what we do, adding what you guys do from a tech stack as well as the data, it's a no-brainer. They're going to get such a better quality of and level of service by adding MIB into your portfolio opposed to doing what we're doing, which is great and it still works. But actually, all the stuff you guys do is just going to elevate that to a different level. So although, yes, I'm a little bit sad, but actually I'm not. I'm more excited, and I've discussed this, a length of view, which is, I just want it to work, and I think we both agree it will.
It'll 100% work. And actually sitting here today and we're going through stuff, I'm actually the most relaxed person in the room. You're the one who's been, look at this and look at that. And the passion for what you've got and what you've built is still there. But that passion is going to go to Rupert now, and you're going to go and do amazing things with that. Let us take that data and let us power those customers and give them a service or a technology stack that they've never had access to before. And I think what we'll do for those customers will be brilliant. And I think some will carry on just buying data because that's the way it works. And some will go, okay, doing email and doing social and website attribution and mapping and direct mail with QR codes and that full trackability piece. It's going to open up so much opportunity in the automotive space as well. So I always say you've got those top players who are really innovative in their technology stack, But then the majority of the sector, so the leasing companies, the fuel car companies, the tracking companies, so on and so forth, they haven't had access to that technology ever. Whereas we're now going to bring it to them, and not just the technology, but the data to power the technology. And that's the most important thing in Go Live data. When we work with a customer, it's about, let's get really driven into what you're after. When we talk to an automotive client, guess what the conversation is? Oh, we want to target 10 to 20 vehicles. We want to get da-da-da-da-da. And it's stuff which we haven't been able to do. So that's a hole in our business. So we needed to find something to fix that hole. We could do it ourselves. And I was telling you about our attempt at doing it ourselves. And actually it wasn't bad, but it's not the right way of doing it. MIB is a crucial part of where Go Live data is going, especially for those automotive customers. It's really going to help them. That's what I want to do.
The automotive sector is mad because something that we've, people listen to this, and Michael, I don't know if you've seen some of these videos actually. So Nick tried to do something years ago called sales XYZ or something. What was it called? XYZ sales equals sales. Basically, it was like people that bought data from us, watch this and how to use it. So this is how you use email marketing. This is how you do sales calls and stuff. Adam, it was awful. When you look back at it. It was absolutely. Michael will send me the videos and I'll send them across to Adam.
Send them over. I've got to have a look at those ones.
They're awful. Like just so cringe. But actually, although we had that, that was our idea 10 years ago, we're still trying to do it now with the stuff you're doing. We knew data is just the vessel, but it's how you use it. It's like you said, email, attribution, the cold calling, DM, so many people that use our data at the end of the year, how was it? I was all right. They have no idea how it went.
Oh, they haven't got a clue.
They haven't got a clue. And actually, that's something that I've always felt, I've always sort of put pressure on myself because actually that's my fault. I should know. I should have helped them during that process. Obviously, we've never got there.
Well, it comes down to a broader problem in the sector because if you look at your average marketing director or small business owner or whatever it might be, what's the metric that they're actually judging purchases by? And the metric that everyone's doing it by is number of leads generated. So therefore, you've got a UK economy where they're a buyer of marketing services, whether that's social, whether that's data, email marketing, whatever it will be. It's all to drive leads and opportunity, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But then the mechanism to get those leads and opportunities through data is actually quite aggressive. It's very blunt. It's not very informative. You're not explaining who you are and what you do. It's almost like, do you need finance? Yes or no? Okay, but what's the finance and what can I use it for and what's the terms and what's your process of getting involved and da-da-da-da-da-da. And what you can do is you build a communication strategy which is more informative. And actually the quality of those opportunities, we'll call them leads, but the quality of those leads goes through the roof because you're nurturing stuff over a longer term. And that's where data comes into the mix. You've got to power high quality content with high quality segmentation. That's been the biggest thing missing for me in the UK economy. It's a little bit further ahead in the States, to be fair, but in the UK economy, they're all looking at going, well, how do I take a prospect who I know should be a buyer of mine, and how do I communicate with that buyer across multiple channels at the right frequency level to generate interest when they become into their buying cycle. So you take your typical car leasing company, what is it, 3 years, 4 years for leasing a vehicle? That means they're a buyer once every 4 years. So if you run a campaign for 3 months, you're probably not going to get a lot out of it. If you run it for 12 months, you'll get slightly more out of it. If you run it for 5 years, you'll get a lot out of it. And that's the mindset shift which the UK now needs to make, which goes, it's not about short-term gratification, it's about long-term generation. And that's where Go Live data, through its tech stack, is starting to build that out.
And I totally agree. And it's something that we speak about a lot on here, which is being omnipresent.
100%.
You've got to be omnipresent across all channels. And I get, there's some people that go, choose one channel and be amazing at that. And I do agree, but I would class that as like a small business. Like if you're a small business owner selling widgets, if LinkedIn's your game, just nail LinkedIn. Fine, just nail that. If that's where you want to sit. But if you've got the budget to be omnipresent, which isn't crazily money now, it's not crazy money now to be omnipresent across these channels. But I understand that some people just don't have the, skill set to go across all of them. But you've got to, those that are being omnipresent, nail it. Like, we were looking through the list, weren't we? And you
Boom.
mentioned driving down or something.
Yeah.
And you said, I know those guys from LinkedIn. I was like, I've never seen them.
Yeah.
But again, you've seen them. They've bought data from us.
Yeah. I've never spoke to them. I've never communicated to them. But every week or every day, I don't know what the frequency is, they put a little video out which goes, today's fuel prices are X, Y, Z. And I see them, and now I remember them.
And you've seen it there. So again, they're totally omnipresent.
100%. Now imagine if I was then running an email campaign or a direct mail campaign or something else, which is now sending more content my way about that. And then I'll go, oh, I want a fuel card. Where do you think I'm going to go? Driving down, hello.
Well, it's Nick and I have said this for years. You know, it's not about people being market today. It's about who they think of when they are in market. And it's like, you know, it's just saying what you said, which is not every, you know, depending on what you're trying to sell them, let's say a car leasing firm or even a telematics system.
Yep.
You know, these guys are going to be, telematics now have reduced pretty much to 12-month contracts, give or take, apart from a couple of them. But leasing firms you're in, 36 months pretty much. You'll might get the odd one that's on 12, but typically it's 3 years. Or, like you said, if you're going to market and spend money on that marketing for 6 months, you're only going to see so much revenue. Like, you may get a couple, but you've got to spend for the length of time that someone is going to be in contract.
100%.
So, you know, it might be that their buying signals start 6 months prior to, or even a year probably now, based on know the car market. They're going to start looking 10 months prior to when they're giving the car back. Well, that's their prime meet then. But if you were to give up 2 years prior, you're going to lose out. Look how much money and revenue you're going to lose. But then that 6 months spend, was a waste. Was it?
And that's the big bit. So it's interesting when you talk about email marketing as a thing. You talk about this thing called engaged audiences. When you do it in social media, it's called communities. You know where I'm going with this. You've got to build your community across all these different platforms. So we, as Go Live Data, we've dropped using the words engaged audience. We're building an engaged community. So we still use engaged a little bit, but it's the community now. And the reality goes, using your example there, I might be in the buying window 10 months before my contract has come. I might have had 35 touch points over the last year and a half, 2 years. I know who you are. I know what you do. I'm now in my buying cycle because we can track website activity. We can see they're on the website. But if someone's just having a quick cursory look and they're not, you can tell a real buyer versus a non-buyer, there's no point generating that as an opportunity to the company. Whereas through our technology, we can do more and more touch points. So when they're actually in the real buying cycle, we make contact with that organisation. And that's where we've changed the look and feel of the whole way it works because of the technology we have. What we didn't have, going back to the original, was the MIB data, which we really needed to power it for the automotive sector. So buying MIB is a strategic purchase for our customers to be better. That kind of leads into our pillars, which is be better, but let's not go into that today.
But you know, MIB is a, you know, like you said, it's filling in a hole for you guys. You know, acquiring Mark within the business
Mark is brilliant.
You know, because of his background, it's a great fit. You know,
and actually it's probably what drove it so quickly. So Mark had joined the business, and I've known Mark for a long time. So I knew Mark of Cubase originally, and then he set up his own agency, Qdos. I was at Data HQ doing some consulting when we brought in Mark into the business as a technology play. I left quite soon after that to do my own gig. Don't know if you know, I did anything with Data HQ, so there you go. I was only there for 3 months.
Yeah,
so
you weren't there long. I know.
No, it was a pure consultancy contract. It was cool, nice business, got nothing bad to say about those guys. Mark then went there for 4 years as part of his earn-out and the deal that he did. And over the years, obviously I ride motorbikes, he's a motorbiker as well. I was going, you should come and do what we're doing, come and join us, it's going to be amazing, we're doing all these great things. And he's always been looking from an afar at what we do, and his time had come to an end. He was actually looking to retire more than anything, and got him on the blow. I said, come down to Manchester, come and see me. And then sat down, did a deal with him, and then he joined, and very quickly was like, I want to do a deal with MIB. I want to do automotive. And that's what drove the conversation between me and you, because I went, explained it to me. Where's the opportunity? What's going on in that sector? Where do we fit in? What can we do different? And he went, if you combine the MIBs we'll go into MIBS in a minute. The MIBS data with your technology, it's going to be groundbreaking. So that's what led to the conversation. And actually, since then, we've had loads of conversations. We've obviously not been able to mention who, but we've been saying we've been thinking about buying an automotive player, having fleet data, and the feedback in the market is really buoyant, really positive. So Mark's a big reason for it.
There's a huge need for it.
Massive.
And like you said, from when we first started speaking about this, there's always that, let's not be around the bush. You've got a figure in head, I've got a figure in my head, and I'm like, okay, well, we need to meet in the middle somewhere.
Yours is big.
Yeah.
Mine's really low.
Yeah. Mine's realistic.
Mine's not.
But what doing a deal, I say doing a deal, it sounds like we're like drug dealers now, but like getting this over the line has been really interesting because we both knew that this was a great play for both parties.
Yeah.
Like obviously for us, obviously we just went through why that's good. We knew what it did for you guys, but it was just getting the deal right for both of us. And actually the reason why it's taken probably a little bit longer is bloody solicitors from both sides. It's really interesting when doing a deal is that, and again, I'm new to all this and I'm not a very good with words, probably is the best way to say it. But like you've got, you get these contracts and you've got, your solicitor, say my sister telling me one thing, you need these in there for that reason. Your sister's going, you need this in there for this reason. And then you've got this sort of line in the middle going, we're going to have to meet somewhere.
Yeah, exactly that. So I'm fortunate over you in the fact that Tim, my business partner, I just go, I want to buy MIB, and he's the one who goes and does it all and then gives me the final contract and goes, is that right? And we get it done. Whereas you've had to go through the battle with your solicitors as well. So
it's just been really interesting because we both knew that this was a great play for everyone.
Yeah.
And what's been quite nice actually, although it's taken a little bit longer, is that especially over the last couple of weeks, is that look, we both really wanted it done. We've just got to figure out all this little nitty bitty stuff, and it's scary. That's the reality. There's no point being around the bush. It's scary for you guys because we've not shown you stuff.
You can't until we've signed a contract.
Yeah, there's a massive risk to all of this, and this is why when I said we just said we should definitely sit down and discuss this and go through it, it's scary, isn't it?
Oh, it's really scary. The great thing though in this situation, me and you've been talking constantly. Or not daily, but at least a couple of times a week, chatting through what the opportunity is, where we are, closure dates. So it's not one of those like hostile takeovers or a reluctant sale or we're forcing it. It always was right. It was just a matter of getting the contract right, which is a pain in the absolute bum. But this is why we pay a lot of money to our lawyers.
Yeah. Well, we got there. And actually, I think what was interesting, so although as of today, let's just agree we've signed it, although I've not actually signed it, but we've signed it.
Well, that's because it's in your inbox and you haven't docu-signed it.
No,
yet.
It hasn't. It's not in there yet.
Is it not in there? Are you checking? Is it open?
Shall I actually...
Go and have a look. Is it in there yet?
Just have for context.
Because technically, I haven't bought MIB, just for clarity.
So, no, it's not my inbox, but I have to laugh. Does Adam have all the paperwork? This is brilliant. So just for context. So
I've drove my big bloody car down today, and you'll understand why now.
So again, this is terminology, and I'm going to apologise to more Tim so for this. So when I said, look, we'll give you all the clients over the last years, here's all the client contracts and stuff. Obviously, it's not just on a CSV with all the details on. But I then said also we'll give you the physical copies. Now, by physical, I meant like the PDF version.
No, just for clarity, physical means I printed out a piece of paper with a signature on it, which has probably been stapled, and it's probably in a folder with a month and a year. That's what I understand by a physical copy. Now, James, what do you understand what a physical copy actually is?
Well, I meant physical in terms of 2024, which is in a drive, a PDF version, physical. So,
do you know what's really rich, though? I'm the technology company here.
But what makes you laugh is, so Tim's just texted me going, does he have it all in his car? And I then reply going, no.
It's on a pen drive because I don't know how to speak English.
Yeah, it's on a Google Drive, Tim. So sorry, Tim. This is totally my fault and my just stupidity. But yeah, all that stuff. It's just like I said. It's been. I'm glad it's done. And although we're there. That's the reality. it's a really good play.
It's brilliant for everybody. It allows you guys to focus on the stuff that you want to do, Rupert, the social stuff, etc. It allows us to be better for our customers and carry on our drive of global domination, which is, I laugh, but it is really what we're trying to do. We're in multiple countries now. We're trying to be really, really good for our customers in terms of how to raise awareness of their companies and what they do. MIB is a massive part of that automotive piece. It feels... It's interesting, sometimes something just feels right, and this one felt right all the way through it. So,
yeah, it's a good play for everyone involved. MIB, and I think I mentioned this before, but I said it to you used the analogy earlier, which is, when business has been going so long like MIB has, and very few have. There's
not many around.
When you look at the stats, it's actually crazy, but you sort of build a moat around your business, and that's what we've done for years. We've niched down. Obviously, we do sell B2B, which obviously anyway. But when it comes to the automotive stuff, we've built such a moat around our business. If anyone thinks of fleet data, they think of MIB.
I think even more than you realise.
Which I know. I know I don't.
Because it's crazy. The amount of anyone who's loosely associated to that automotive space, and we've met them over the last 10, 15 years, it's always MIB, we buy from MIB, they're brilliant, they're dynamite, they're great, they do a good job, they deliver on time. You've got such a good reputation. We've got such a good reputation.
You can say that now.
I can say that now. But you've got such a good reputation in the market, which, when you think about the industry, going back to our earlier conversation, it's been full of people who've been sat in their bedrooms flogging a bit of data as a resale, or it's been people with pen drives over the years, and it's always been a little bit the cowboys of Indians. It's always been a bit silly. So that 15 years ago, for you to go, we're not going to just become a good reseller, we're going to go and build a niche data set, and we're going to become brilliant at what we do. That's a vision piece which a lot of people don't have, and that you went and executed it over a 15-year period, and being able to keep the business going and keeping it floating and keep that brand reputation. It's real kudos to you guys.
Yeah, I although I don't think of it, sometimes it's only when you step away, don't you? You just sort of don't see the wood for the trees. Yeah. And when I look back, as some friends have said, 15 years is a long old time.
It's a long time.
So I had hair.
Get less for murder, don't you?
Wow.
Depends what type of murder. Let's not go there.
But you're right actually, and it's only when you sit back and go, actually, yeah, bloody hell, we've done a good job. We can pat ourselves on the back, and I'm glad that it's going over to you guys who can just continue, to look after the clients. That's biggest thing for me. I've made a lot of friends with clients over the years, and I love them all. People like JD, Sophie, Simon, I could go through. There's hundreds of them.
And you're trusting us to carry on that relationship as well. So it's massive. But every time you finish a journey, take some time to reflect on what that journey was before you start the next one. I had this on a text message to you as well, which was, I finished my time at Market Location, and I've done a lot of success. But when you're in it, like you just said, you don't realise what you're doing. It's only the afterthought when you look back. And when I look at Market Location and my career there, I didn't realise how good I was at the time, or at least how good my numbers were and how I worked with customers and whatever it will be. So when I left and I had a look back at what I did, and you look at your sales figures and they become your vanity metrics to start off with, and you think about actually the relationships that I've built, some dynamite relationships over the last 10 years with customers, and I've done really good things like our watch funding circle go from 4 people to now a juggernaut, and we were a massive part of that. And it's those pride pieces along the way, and you have to reflect on them before you move on to your next journey. So please sit down and have an evening and think about all that you've done with MIB.
Have a little glass of
a little bit of rosé.
A glass of red with Nick.
Yeah.
But no, it's been fun. Look, anyone can sit and go, it's been hard. Of course it's bloody hard. So,
business is hard, mate.
It doesn't matter who you are, unless you're lucky. But it's been hard, and Nick and I, we'll look back here with fond memories. Some of this call centre staff we've had. Honestly, we've had the stories I've got. We had one guy who just spat in a bin just spat in a bin. Hocked up and spat in a bin next to him. Andrew, his name was. Never forget his. Just spat in a bin. And the whole call centre were like, what was going on there? We had wires in the early days at the market location offices.
We all did that.
All the wires going from one up thing, and Barbara would be like, what are you two doing? Like just the stories. We've had people with brittle bones come for interviews, and you'd see them walk up, and then you'd be like, now where are they? And they were coming up the stairs when we were in the old.
You were on the third floor, weren't you?
The fourth floor. We were literally where the fleet stuff.
That staircase was knackering.
And then the lift was broken. Babs was like,
forever
not. Just we had, then we went to the other office and we had to tape the windows in the winter because it was all the old Victorian ones. Just you could go on and on. The funniest one actually, and Nick will remember this, which is this is when we had, as well as the fleet data, we were then calling for Vodafone. And it was nails, literally. It was just, we tested up me and Nick calling and went, we'll hit those figures. There's a reason why we won that contract. Because we were too fucking cheap.
Over promise, under delivered.
Literally. Because we
undercharged.
We were getting paid per thing. So it was how many business handsets they had, a renewal day, and a couple of things who they were with. And we won that for Emma, actually, for Nick. So
cool.
So that was when we had all the, literally Babs and the guys were trying to upset Emma, which was brilliant. And we were going through staff, like no one was hitting these numbers, and obviously because we were on such deadlines, we're like, nope, you're not good enough. Next one. We were literally, no one had any staff. We'd gone through the whole staff of Leamington and Warwick. We got like this core group of like 6 or 7, which were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. These lads were great, but it's it's like calling. It's tough work. You're dialing 250 a day. It's nails on an automated dialer. So we had this guy. We're like, Ed, you're not hitting your numbers. And he goes, do you know what? Head went off. I've had enough of this. I'm off. And I was like, James next to him, James Mortz. Never forget his name. Again, another one. Actually, yeah, I've had enough as well. He walked. All 6 left.
No.
Literally, just all one. Nick and I literally sat there because my desk was here and he was just sat there. I looked at each other and just went, we're like literally we had no other staff we could get. Brook Street had tried, they were even in Coventry at this point trying to find a staff. It was just so many stories in 15 years that we've had. Just amazing, absolutely amazing. But although it's hard, we've been able to keep it profitable.
Yeah.
And I think something I was discussing to you earlier about, obviously I've come out of the agency world now with Rupert. The stuff I've seen from an agency perspective in the last 5 years, I think is criminal. And I'm actually, I've started writing a book. Will I continue? Hopefully I will. I'm going to call it Anti-Growth because I think there's nonsense going on. But actually with MIB, and we're lucky in the data world because it's good profit margins.
Yes.
As long as you get it right, of course. But actually we've managed over 15 years to be profitable every single year, for a long period of time. So you're right, actually, when we walk away, when we hand the keys over and look back, it will be with fond memories and good stories, but actually we've done all right. We've done all right, yeah.
Done all right.
Just about. But yeah, no, it's been good. And I like I said, I wish you guys all the best moving forward with this. And I guess one question is, 20 clients listen to this, Adam? Because I think a few clients will be listening. I know
hello,
a few
clients.
Will. Hello, future clients.
Hello.
Please use us still.
Pleased to meet you.
Please.
Please carry on using us.
Please. I guess, have you got any sort of words for those guys and girls? I'll get told.
I was just going to say, it's the modern world.
No, I know.
Yeah. We like to do the right thing with our clients, so you can trust us. You can trust us to do what we say we're going to do. So if it's outreach or if it's data or whatever it might be, probably look at the camera at this point. Trust us to do what we do. We want to take what MIB do. They've got very similar values to the business that we've set up in Go Live Data, and that's probably why it's such a nice fit, and probably why it's been so easy to do the transaction. Yes, time and holidays and whatever it will be, but it's been quite easy really if we actually take it down. And it's because your values, our values are very aligned to each other as businesses. So I know you don't want to do the agency anymore, the world of the agency. I get it. I agree with everything you said. But I think there's play for good companies to do it in the right way, and touch wood, we're that company, and we'll continue to push those barriers.
Well, that's it. This is the episode we've all been waiting for.
Yeah. So James, MIB, bye-bye. Go Live
Get
Data,
away.
hello.
Let's Go Data or whatever it's called.
What was it we were saying? Let's go live.
I have actually bought a domain
You're joking.
called Let's Buy Data.
Let's Buy Data.
I've actually I bought it years ago because when we were doing the Let's Run Social, and I was
Yeah.
how can I get MIB sort of within it? And I was like, oh, what about Let's Buy Data? I was like, oh, that sounds shit. But I bought it just in case. So I've actually still owned that domain.
Use it.
You can have it.
Done. We like weird domains. We've got loads of them.
But no, thank you for coming in today, Adam, and yeah, just continue.
It's gonna be great.
No, thank you.
Thank you.